What up, y'all? It's your boy R to the A to the S. Yes, Roz here with See What Causes Blog. And today I'm talking about this article that was in Ebony magazine, October 11th edition, with MJB on the cover, Mary J. Blige. No, 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 no. Someone do love me. Alright, Mary J. Blige. And the article's called Homosexuality. A Sin was homosexual marriage a sin or a right? And you have these two reverends, one of which I would say in quotation reverends. And I'm going to talk about the reverend that's arguing for gay marriage. And I'm not going to go through each and every point, but just some of the things that I found that I think was wrong. And I would suggest you read the whole article for yourself, because again, I'm just taking out excerpts. You want to read it in context. But some of the things that he's arguing, I'm going to go through. One of them, which it says, we believe that homosexuality as a sexual orientation is not a sin, but hypocrisy is. That is why Jesus says nothing about the former, but speaks volumes about the latter. Okay, the argument is saying that Jesus didn't speak about homosexuality or homosexual orientation, which homosexual orientation just means who you're attracted to, basically. And I would say, yes, okay, you can make that argument. However, the problem with that argument is this. In that time period, there was nobody trying to make this what I consider a ridiculous argument that same-sex people should be married, that same-sex people should even be in relationships. During that time, it was sodomy. It was just thought of as sodomy. It was sexual acts. You did the sexual acts, of course, like any other sexual act, you will repent. Okay? That was it. There was no love between same sexes. It was just a lustful sexual act. So of course Jesus speaks on it. This concept of sexual orientation will be foreign to that culture. It's pretty much foreign all throughout history until modern times, modern Western times, where people begin to make this argument that sexual orientation, that sexual identity is who you are. If you have sexual desires for the same sex, that is who you are. And that's a modern argument. That is not something that was thought of throughout the centuries. So of course he didn't speak on that, because it's foreign to his culture. Then it goes to talk about how, like, the different biblical passages that people argue against homosexuality. They're saying that it's ritual impurity, that it's violence or abusive, like rape and things like that. And then he says, the scriptures do not explicitly address a monogamous relationship between two loving same-sex individuals. Again, because the scriptures don't address it, because this is a new concept. Nobody back then were trying to get into a love relationship with the same sex. Now, was there sodomy and lesbianism back there? Yes. But again, those were sexual acts, not something to be argued that because I do these sexual acts that we should be married. So of course the Bible doesn't speak on that. That is a foreign concept to the Jewish culture back then. And it's foolishness. Again, sexual attraction, sexual desires is not who defines you. You know what I'm saying? It's not. And that's what people try to get people to accept. You can't. There's no argument in that biblically. You can't find that sexual identity and things like that. It's a foreign concept. And I will invite you to read this book called The End of Sexual Identity by Janelle Parrish. She really gets into this to show that, historically you cannot find this type of thinking. But anyway, I'm going to get to like some of the last things that they talk about. Some of the other things they talk about. It's real short. Another thing you talk about is, he says, it is theologically right because we are all created equal in the image of God. Now, I agree that we're all created equal in the image of God. But not all sexual desires are equal in the image, are equal in the eyes of God. What's equal in the eyes of God is that whether a person calls themselves homosexual, bisexual, they're still either a man or a woman. All right? They're, you know what I'm saying? The only difference between me and a homosexual person is desires. All right? They're still a human being, but what differentiates them is that they embrace desires, same-sex desires that are evil in the eyes of God. Because, as this article says, we're made in the image of God. In the image of God, like God, you see from Genesis how he created man and females to procreate, to marry each other. Not man and women and women marrying each other. There's no such thing. Those are sexual acts. Period. Sexual acts. Not, well, I have these love feelings towards this person. I'm not saying that they don't. They probably do. But just because they have those feelings or desires does not mean, okay, because I have these natural desires, therefore it's right. No. They're human beings. They're males and females, made in the image of God. But sexual desires, just because you have sexual desires does not mean those sexual desires are right. As a heterosexual man, I might have desire for, I'm married, I might have a desire, for example, if I'm married, I might have a desire for another woman. Just because I have those desires for another woman doesn't mean those desires are right because I'm made in the image of God. That's silly. Same thing here. And then he talks about, last thing I'm going to talk about, it says, it's morally right because all of God's children should be able to live the truth rather than to be forced to perpetrate a lie. No one's saying that you have to perpetrate a lie. If you're going to be a homosexual, you're going to live in sin, you can do that. But what we're talking about is marriage. And again, that two women, two females, it's not marriage. Yes, they might have feelings. They can have feelings all they want to. They're going to have consequences to that biblically. So nobody try to stop them for who they want to sleep with. They can sleep with who they want to. But that does not mean that the Bible supports those sexual desires, because it doesn't. And you can't say, well, because black people were oppressed, that you're stopping them from being married, which this article tried to write. No. Black people were oppressed because of their skin color. Not because of they have desires for somebody else. Not all marriages are equal in the eye. Now, just because you have the desire to be married doesn't mean that God approves of that. For example, you look at something like incest. People say, oh, well, you can't argue incest. We know that if you have a baby with somebody you're close with, family-wise, there's going to be like some genetic mutations. The baby might come out, whatever. Okay, what is your argument against two cousins that are the same sex? Or a father and his son? Or a mother and her daughter? You have no argument against that. If you're you can use the same thinking because they have same-sex attraction, they're monogamous, therefore it's right. Well, what about incest? Would you endorse that? And I'm sure this reverend was like, no, I'm sure he'd be like, no, I wouldn't endorse that either. Why not? You have no argument against it. With your logic, you have to accept it. All marriages, biblically, are not viewed as right in the eyesight of God. Marriage is something specific. And a so-called gay marriage or an incest marriage is not biblical marriage. And as a Christian, you can't support it. Period. It's very simple to me, but obviously this Reverend sees it differently. Again, I would invite you to read the whole article to see his points. But that's my thoughts on it. This your boy Roger, but see we call some blog. Kobe Suts on them out. Triples.